Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Today's Youth. And today we will be meeting with a young multitasking lady. She's a ballerina, she's an engineer, and she's also a ballet instructor. We will be knowing more about Marwa Anwar in this episode. Thank you very much for joining us, Marwa.
Thank you. Good. How are you?
Marwa, tell me about your passion for ballet. When did it start? How did you move on, and at what age did you start?
I started at the age of 4 years old. I started back in Abu Dhabi. They train, usually ballet starts from 4 to 5 years old. Ever since then I've been dancing, and I started instructing ballet when I was 18 exactly. That's when I first started teaching, and I've been teaching ever since. So I think more than 8 years now I've been instructing.
Right, and then after Abu Dhabi you moved in to Egypt, and you are being trained at the Cairo Opera House?
Yes, I dance at the Cairo Opera House. I've been dancing ever since I came to Egypt when I was maybe 10 or 12 years old. And then ever since then I've been on and off dancing there. And you also were trained or training at the Russian Cultural Center? Yes, I also trained next to it, Russian Cultural Center. My teacher was actually Russian herself, and they're excellent, both the Cairo Opera House and the Russian Cultural Center. They're both very good.
Right. Marwa, also an engineer. You graduated from the Faculty of Engineering, you studied engineering, and you're working actually as an engineer. Tell me more about the choice of engineering. And you're originally a ballerina, a ballet dancer, and into art more.
Yes, that's correct. It's still a struggle choosing between which path, which is going to be the career, which is my future. But so far, I'm interested in both. I still work in the morning, engineering. I give my ballet lessons in the afternoon, and I dance ballet on weekends. So I'm trying to multitask with both because I'm still interested in both, but I have no idea which is going to be my career. I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, why did you choose engineering in specific?
I like it. I like engineering. I still do, actually. That's why I'm still struggling between both. I don't know which one to leave, which one to pursue more. So I chose engineering because I like the complications of it. I like the problem-solving aspect of it. It's a good career. I'm really interested in it, but we'll see which is my path.
What are you majoring in engineering? Is it construction or civil or mechanical engineering?
No, I majored back in college in architecture, but I'm currently working in BIM. It's very 3D modeling, it's programs more, and it's mainly construction rather than architecture.
And how were you able during your years of education to cope between the long hours of training and your education?
It was a battle, but if you love something, it's simple enough to figure out how to make both work.
To manage your time.
Exactly, you have to manage your time.
What would you tell youth about managing time?
It's hard, you don't sleep, you don't eat. It's hard, but if you love something, it makes up for it. So you have to just choose your priorities, which is more important. You have to find the definition between the both. You have to divide your time equally, and then you can make it work. It's fine.
And now you're working. How many hours a day you work?
In the morning?
Yeah.
So engineering is a full-time job, so probably 8 hours. And then I instruct maybe 3 hours a day or 2 hours. It depends on the classes every day. And then I train on the weekends. It's usually the class can go up to 3 hours or more. That's pretty much it.
So your time is divided between your work and at the same time your ballet training and instructing ballet at the same time.
Exactly.
And when do you have time for your personal life? I mean, your family, whatever, your hobbies, other hobbies, or?
No, my hobbies are what I'm doing. So that's...
It's ballet.
Exactly. So I'm doing this. This is my hobbies. I'm done with my hobbies. Other than that, personal life, it comes and goes. But if I think work is more priority than personal life. And if you love what you do, it doesn't seem like work. So that becomes your personal life. Your work becomes your second home. So when you go to the studio, this is practically your home. So that's the personal life there.
Marwa, where do you see yourself like 10 years from now, for example?
I think I'm pursuing the ballet aspect of it more since we were discussing. I like the option. Ballet opens up more opportunities. For example, like I told you, I started teaching flexibility classes and I do more towards flexibility. So opening a flexibility program has led me to have more priorities and more options career-wise other than engineering probably. I'd probably pursue this more. And I like the idea of pursuing something you love. So me and my friends, we're trying to pursue that. We're trying, everyone has their hobbies, we're bringing it together, and that's our main focus right now.
So you have your own project now. You're a young entrepreneur.
Yes.
You have a training class for our studio for ballet. How do you see entrepreneurship for people your age?
It's not for ballet, it's just for flexibility because there's a division between both. But you're right, I did open up a fitness center. It's an arena with me and my friends. So each one has a hobby, like you say, and I am co-founding it with them with my flexibility program. So I think it's great if you love something, if you pursue it, this becomes this is the only thing you're experienced in, and you've been doing it for more than 20 years. So I think that's how you get to share something that you love and you're good at with other people and actually help them, because it's not just teaching a sport, it's actually a life challenge. You get completely changed just by training or by taking up a hobby or just, you know, like fixating on something. So
right. What about the management side of your project? I mean, you're managing this center or this flexibility center.
Actually, my husband is the one who's managing. I don't manage. I just go give the class and I leave. So it's a partnership.
Yes. Okay. You didn't study any management, so you're not into management.
No, not my criteria.
You're more into art and engineering, of course.
Yes, exactly.
Right. What would you tell youth about empower? Yani, how do you think we can empower youth and give them the strength to be to find their future?
I think as long as you're focused, you prioritize what's important to you. I think that's the main focus. If you care about something enough, you'll work hard for it. You'll find the time, like you said, you'll manage your time for it. That's how you become an entrepreneur. If you focus your daily life, your daily tasks, your life becomes centered around your main project or your main entrepreneurship, or even just a small project that you're doing, whether it's your career or not. Either way, as long as this is your main focus, I think anything is possible and can happen.
So do you encourage youth to have their own projects, to be young entrepreneurs, or finding jobs, a stable job? Which is better?
Of course, I will pursue being an entrepreneur because it's amazing to be your own boss. So you can wake up whenever you want. I think that's amazing. And especially that feeling you have when you're doing something for yourself other than a big corporation, maybe when you're doing something just for you and it's exactly everything you've dreamed of and you're passionate about it, it's different. You have this passion for the work that you're doing, much more different than just having a daily task which is exactly the same and you don't really have any, how do you say, a character within the work. When you have your own project or your own side job, you have this character that you're building into your own work, and that's what's amazing about it.
Tell me more about your ballet performances.
Yes, I've been performing. I did a couple of performances in the opera. I did a couple of performances back when I was in college. And now the places that I teach ballet in, we still do some shows, but I'm usually the instructor, so I don't dance. But when I used to dance, the shows are different. There's sometimes Swan Lake, Snow White, Cinderella, Don Quixote. There are many different types of ballet shows that we usually comprehend exactly the same. We do sometimes do a little bit different. There's also folklore, which is the Arabic version, maybe something like modern a bit. So there are many different types. So every year we have one show and we do it, depending on the show.
So did you ever participate in folklore, which is a different, so different than classic ballet?
Yes, it is. Usually it involves maybe something more modern like pharaohs or maybe something like Leila Kabira. So that's the idea of folklore. So yes, I did participate once.
And what do you think are the main or the most important features of a successful ballerina?
I think it has to be daily practice. As long as you're really pursuing your practice, as long as you're training every day, it has to come with training. It's not just the ballet technique, it's the flexibility aspect of it. It's a big circle of many things that you have to pay like a lot of focus in each and every one of them. You have to be healthy, you have to eat healthy, you have to just bear with the consequences that it's hard and it's difficult, but you have to keep pursuing it. And then I think that's what makes a ballerina, the characteristics of the ballerina, also the discipline that comes with it, because ballet has a big aspect of discipline to it. So as long as all these characteristics combine, I think anyone can be a great ballerina.
Right. Tell me more about the diet. What's the proper diet for a ballerina?
There's nothing specific. It depends on your body type and your body goals. So I think just eating healthy, managing your calories, your protein intake, as long as you're healthy and you're daily active, you'll have the good body shape for a ballerina.
Yeah, but what types of food are preferable?
So the main meal for the day, for example, you have to have a well-balanced diet, which is protein, carbs, and greens, which is vegetables or so. And then maybe a light snack after. Stay away from sugar, no calories. Maybe the sugar you can consume is from fruits, for example. I think as long as you have a well-balanced diet, this is exactly what you're supposed to eat. You have to have sugar because it's good for the energy that gets you to dance for 4 or 3 hours consecutive. So, yeah.
Right. Well, Marwa, tell me, when did your passion for ballet start? At what age?
4 years old. When I was 4, that's when I started. I think I remember my mom telling me I was dancing around the house, and then that's when they got me to the studio to train.
And who supported you more? Was it your mom or your dad, or who was the great supporter?
I think both my mom and my dad. They just pushed me to the center, and then ever since then I've been dancing.
Right. Talking about youth here in Egypt, and of course maybe you've been following the youth conferences that were taking place here in Egypt, and the government here in Egypt is giving great attention to the youth. How do you see the significance of youth conferences, youth gatherings, gathering youth from different parts of the world to gather in international youth forums to exchange their experience and knowledge? How do you see this?
I think it's great because I don't remember before the activities and the youth part, there wasn't much focus on it. So the greater the focus, the greater the entities that we work for regarding, for example, ballet flexibility or so on, the more the entities grow within itself. So that means the more that we, the youth, as athletes, can find jobs or internships or entrepreneurships, like you said. So we have more chances now than before. So I think that's great for us.
What's expected by the youth from their countries?
I don't know. What's expected by the country itself?
Both ways. What's expected by the youth from their countries, and what's expected from the countries? I mean, what's the role of the youth towards their countries?
I think as long as we're just doing our part, if we have responsibilities, if you carry your own responsibilities, I think that's enough to represent your country. For example, if they're traveling abroad, to represent their country in some sort of activity, as long as you do well presentation, I think if you really manage the kind of work you're doing, I think that's enough just for the youth themselves.
And how can we empower youth? How can the country empower its youth?
I think what they're doing now is exactly what was needed before, just by giving us the spotlight, you know, just being shining on the athletic part of the world in youth, for example. I think ever since there's been a shine on this aspect, I think that's allowing us to have more opportunities. Did you follow the Olympics?
the Tokyo Olympics 2020 that were just held recently?
I did follow it, but then again, it's not my criteria because they don't have ballet, so I wasn't focusing on it very much.
Yes. They have only artistic gymnastics, which is different from,
yes.
ballet.
They sometimes have same foundations in training, but it's very different at the end. Yes, that's correct.
What are the most important international competitions for ballet?
The ballet world is kind of different. The competitions are not usually the main goal. The main goal is that you train your entire life so that you can get a career out of it. So the career usually is that a company wants you to dance with them and they sign you with them. But unfortunately, we don't have that in Egypt. They only have that abroad. So in Egypt, your career is that if you dance at the opera, and that's a career, so you're one of the main participants in their ballet company group, that's the career in ballet. So it's different kind of gymnastics. You don't compete. You dance, and then when you're at a certain age, they either take you in the company or they don't. So that's international. It's not like competitions, and if you win, you get to go somewhere.
Ballet is very, very popular in some countries like Russia, for example. I think this is the world #1 country in ballet.
Yes, it is the origin of the ballet, that's correct.
Yes. What other countries is ballet still popular? I mean, the classic ballet.
The classic ballet, no, I think it's popular international. Even like here in Egypt, they have a good, nice focus on it in the Cairo opera.
Who is the most popular ballerina or role model that you see or you look up to?
I look up to a ballerina. Her name is Polina Semyonova. She's Russian. She's amazing. And Misty Copeland. They're both, I think they're maybe in like late 30s or 40s now, but they had an amazing career. Their technique is amazing. Everything they do is just amazing. I think these are my role models.
What do you know about ballet, I mean, in Egypt? When did ballet start? Tell me about the history of ballet in Egypt.
I think ballet was around in Egypt a long time ago. I'm not sure if it has to do with Russians. I'm not sure who brought ballet to Egypt, but it's been around long enough as the Cairo Opera House has been around. This is the history of ballet.
Now, since ballet is a very classic art, now how do you see the future of ballet?
Future is ballet. I think now more than ever, the future of ballet is evolving because the more ballet studios and centers that have been opening and people have gained a more interest in ballet. So we're definitely developing a future career in ballet. The more entities that open up within Cairo or entire Egypt focused on ballet, that's the future of ballet, that the world is spreading, you know, the more artistic side is starting to show, and I think that's what's important. So I think the future of ballet it's great, and we're really focused on it right now, so that's amazing.
So you think there is a revival of ballet now in Egypt?
Yes, definitely.
How is it coming back?
It's coming back by the focus of the people. As long as people are interested in ballet, that's how the world becomes. So the community of Egypt, or the people, they're the ones who bring it back. They're the ones who revive ballet. So as long as people are interested, this is our job to keep people interested into joining ballet, into evolving into something amazing just by training ballet. And the more entities that open, the more we're trying to keep people interested and evolve. So basically, we're doing as much as we can by doing many shows to, you know, show ballet to the world and give people a part of something just to keep it alive. I think that's amazing.
Talking more about youth in general, do you think that youth around the world have the same challenges and face the same obstacles?
Around the world, I bet it's different from country to country, of course. I haven't lived abroad in my like adult life to really understand like the competition, I think. But I think everywhere the youth have their struggle, that everyone's trying to make it, everyone's trying to start a career, everyone's trying to be unique in their own way. So we're all trying, and I think those who work the hardest are the ones who reach what they want.
Do you think that youth also have the same dreams around the world?
Of course, yeah, of course, definitely. I think we all have that one dream. I think everyone has a dream, youth or not, and I think some people are scared. I was scared. I was definitely scared to ever leave, for example, the main job and then go risk something and try something new. But if you love it enough and you're working hard enough, that risk can eventually turn into something amazing.
What are your dreams on the personal and career levels?
This is my dream. It's happening right now. I'm glad that I was able to share something that I love, which comes from the foundation of ballet, into teaching people and helping them, and teaching ballet and flexibility. Flexibility also, it's amazing because it approaches to adults, not just kids, so you can start at a late age, because they always tell you in ballet you have to start at a young age, which is 4 years old and never more. But flexibility, you can give it to adults 50 years old or more. I have a lot of people who've trained with me who are more than 50 even, and then you start to see their life changing, their body evolving, and you're amazed to see how the body can change, and it's never too late. And just by simple training techniques, you can do something you never thought you would do, and you can challenge yourself into being something much more than you ever thought. And the way you kind of gain your youth back, you know, because you're training, if you don't exercise daily, your body kind of slows down mainly. But if you start training daily, your body kind of evolves, and instantly you get your youth back, you get your health back, you get your mobility back, everything's easier for you.
And you just told me that ballet should start at the age of 4.
Yes.
But until what age a ballerina can perform?
A ballerina can perform up till late 30s, maybe 40s. I think that's when the career stops. But if you want to dance by yourself, you can always dance, you know.
Yeah. What are the main challenges that faces a ballerina?
Ballerinas, the challenges are that usually we get a lot of injuries because we train daily mainly, and then it's kind of risky, for example, on the pointe shoes, because you get a lot of injuries. And if you have an injury, it doesn't stop your career, but it can challenge your career. So you have to be really careful. You have to always take care of your body. You always have to do physical therapy. So it's not just about eating healthy or whatnot. It's also about taking care of your body, because if you have an injury, this can stop your career or your chance of dancing.
What types of injuries could a ballerina have?
For example, joint injuries, which is a problem in the knee, or an ankle, for example. Injuries are very common with dancers. A hip injury is common with dancers. So all these joint and muscles that you have to daily protect and constantly work out at a very reasonable rate, and overworking sometimes is wrong. So it's not about, I'm going to work 5 hours a day and that's going to prevent my injuries. No, sometimes overworking them is also dangerous. So you have to understand your body. Each body is different. You have to understand your muscle groups. You have to understand your joints. You have to understand every aspect of your body that you have to really take care of well. Train properly, rest properly, and then with those two combined, you have a long life career of whatever you're doing, athletic-wise, dancing-wise, anything.
What's the ideal training hours for a ballerina?
Probably 2 to 3 hours daily, but then again, that's not professional. Like abroad, for example, professionally abroad, I think they could train up to 8 to 10 hours a day. So for here, for now, just like having a modern, usually basic life as a ballerina, I think you train like 2 to 3 hours a day, probably.
Well, I would like to thank you very much for joining me today, Marwa. All the best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dear viewers, that brings us to the end of this edition of Today's Youth. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up here on Nile TV International.